live. It's not Memorex, I'm live. And I don't have the fancy equipment. So we're talking about when to let go of a relationship. So I'm going to turn the camera around and hopefully I can turn it back. And if not, well, this is our reaction video and you'll be listening to my voice. Or I'll have to turn the doggone camera all the way around so you can see my face. And I won't be able to see whether you can see my face or not. But here it goes.
Attached to individuals, and when we've invested all this time and energy, it becomes a struggle to walk away. And the time to have let go may have been a long time ago. All right, but I understand it's not always that simple. It's easier said than done. But I want you to have more clarity on when you know it is time for you. When you can walk away guilt-free without second guessing. If you did it too soon, if you should have tried harder, I want to help you understand when you're moving in the right direction in regard to walking away and letting go. So, number one reason or number one sign that it's time to let go is when a relationship consistently drains you instead of energizes you. Here's the reality. Relationships are not supposed to be stressful, energy-draining, life-depleting situations. All right? There's supposed to be a dynamic that brings two people together, that creates a stronger unit, that pours.
I don't have it on the tripod. I'm sorry, guys. Next time.
That supports each other, that allows us to battle and deal with life better because we have that person that we can lean on by our side. And so when you are in a relationship and it's constantly draining and taking from you and depleting you, then it's time to let go. Now, granted, again, I don't want you to just say, well, the minute I feel this way, let me walk away. No, we'll get into how you should approach it. But the reality is that first recognize, is that the case with you? Is that what's going on? Because if it is, why have you still been there? If it is, why is it even happening? Are the issues correctable? Or is it just a symptom of you being with the wrong individual? You got...
Yeah, I'm back. So what Stefan Speaks is talking about is when it's time to go, when it's time to release a relationship. And we're going to use different scenarios for this video. For one, when should you know? Shouldn't you know when things get so bad that they're really not fixable anymore? I call it putting duct tape or Bondo on relationships. What does that mean? That means that when you literally know there's nothing left. I'm going to give a funny scenario, guys. A funny scenario. So just bear with me. The first time that I got married, I literally, we were poor. We were not well off, okay? I should say my husband, is what I should to say. My husband was in the military. He was an E4. We didn't have anything. Our first child was on its way. And I don't know, for you guys out there that are in the military, we were PCSing, right? We were about to PCS, but we still had about a year left, right? And so we didn't want to buy into a brand new car. So he had this, great idea. Look at the list of people that were PCSing already, like within days, and go ahead and see if they had a vehicle they were selling. So when he did that, we ended up purchasing a car for like $500, I think it was. And no, I'm not kidding. This was back in 81 or so. And so we bought the car. But that car had so much, that car kept losing its muffler, okay? We're from San Antonio, Texas. And so as soon as we'd go over the train tracks, guys, the frickin' muffler would fall off. And I'm not kidding you. Well, okay, it wasn't the muffler per se. It was like the tailpipe to the muffler, because it needed to be welded back. But I didn't know in those days. I didn't know things about mechanics, right? So he would get out of the car and he'd put duct tape on there. And of course, the idiot didn't realize, bless his heart, that the motors are hot, the tailpipe is hot, it's going to burn through the tape. So then I give him a clothes hanger to put down there, and it would happen less often. But the point is, this car had Bondo all the way around, okay? It had so much rust eaten off of it. I don't know where they PCS'd from originally, because in Texas it hardly snows unless you live up in Dallas, right? So that's what I'm talking about. When to know that you should leave a relationship. When you've got to Bondo the hell out of that thing, because there's just no way that that thing is going to stay where it's supposed to stay. Things are not staying in the right place. Things are not functioning correctly. Things are no longer working. And you don't want to walk away from this relationship, so you keep putting Bondo all over it. You Bondo the crap out of it. You duct tape it, and you freaking put, I don't know, a zip tie on it, knowing that it's going to burn through the rubber. It's not going to hold. And even eventually you put the hanger, which was made out of wire in those days. But even that, you know, is only a temporary fix. So when do you walk away from a 20-year marriage, let's say? When it's no longer working, when it makes you feel like crap, when people are belittling you all the time, when it's more fighting than positive, when you're just enduring because of money, because of property, because of joint accounts or IRAs, or my 401k, you know, or my retirement, I don't want them to get it, or I'm gonna have to pay them more from, you know, out of my paycheck, and I'm not gonna have anything because I'm gonna pay more in child support than I'm gonna be able to live on. You know the drill. Is all of that misery worth staying in order to keep the money in your pocket? Now I'm gonna give a different scenario, because there are a lot of us out there, especially those on my YouTube channel that's for tarot, okay? Because mostly what I get is people that have come to my channel that want to watch for love. That's mostly what people have asked me for the last 37 years of my life when I do readings. Don't get me wrong, they ask me important questions other than that as well, like, you know, housing, you know, how is this going to go in court, etc., things like that. But mostly it's about love. And a lot of these people stay in relationships for years that never go anywhere. Oh, because he's in love with me, because I know he's going to eventually leave Helga and he's going to end up being with me, and that time may never come, and meanwhile you're just getting older and older and you feel more and more used. So when should you walk away from that? So there's different scenarios in people's lives, and then there's the 7-year itch, there's the midlife crises. I mean, you got it, right? You name it, you got it, Toyota, as they say. So there's different scenarios. But most definitely, you should not stay in a relationship or a situationship if it's not growing, if there's nothing in it for you, if all you're getting is sex. Now, for those in the back that are saying, Victoria, I want the sex, I don't care about marriage, I don't care about relationships, and I just want to have that kind of companionship, and I'm okay with them going back to the wife and or husband and giving them the headaches. I applaud you. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to those that don't want to waste their time, that feel used, that feel dirty, or that feel let down after everything is said and done. I'm talking to those folks. You've got to maybe have a come to Jesus moment. Not saying that in a negative way. We all have free will. But just like the husband and wives and permanent relationshipers that are like Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell that aren't married but are married spiritually, you still have to have a come to Jesus moment. You still have to get right with yourself. You still have to figure out if that's what you want to do or not. Is it good enough? And if more times than not, you keep coming up with, no, that's not good enough. That is not what I want. I'm glad that's what you want, but that doesn't work for me. Because in the meanwhile, even though you hate Helga, you keep running home to Helga. You keep going back to Helga while I am by myself and my bed is empty. Have you had those moments? Because a lot of people that come across YouTube and come into people's feeds, I mean, I can name names, you know, let's just do Frankie's tarot, let's do Tyler's tarot, let's do what's her name, Allie's tarot, let's do Rich Loop Tarot. I mean, we can name names. I can name names. True Twin Flame Tarot, the High Priestess Tarot. You Spiritual Fire Ancient Tarot, right here. Okay, name names. And I can tell you that the majority of people that come across our comments are stating things like that. I'm not taking them back, and then they're back, and then they come back in and out of your life, and you let them. That's why they keep coming back in and out. But back to the marriage one. Is it really a badge of honor? I mean, those were for the 40s and the 50s people, you know, 30s, 40s, and 50s peoples. Because once it got to the 70s, yes, I understand that women started becoming feminists and all of that stuff, which was good and bad. Because, yeah, we are women, let us, you know, see us roar, hear us roar. Problem is, we talked ourselves out of relationships and the nuclear family for a lot of us, and became wifeless, husbandless. We became more independent to the point to where we don't need anybody. I can do what a man can do. That's true. But that doesn't make a family, not a nuclear family, a traditional family. But if that's your bag, that's your bag. But do you understand what I'm saying? Is it really that you have to live and die for 20 years, 30 years, 50 years with that partner that you cannot stand, that you cannot even stand to walk into your house? And I'm talking to the men. You can't stand to walk into your own house, or you can't stand when they walk in, because you feel sick to your stomach, because you know your the hairs on your back start, you know, rising, because you know that at any moment, if they open their mouth and you have to respond, it just depends on what's going to come out of their mouth, because it may turn into a full-blown war. You know, the War of the Roses, for those that know what I'm saying. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Is that really a life? Because you have money, because you have clout, because when, you know, people come visit your home and they see your darling family, they fawn over it and think, oh my gosh, I wish I had that. And then it's not even all that, because they don't know the dirty little secret that they don't know is when they leave your home, all the fighting starts again. The real things start. The real issues begin. The real dynamics of that relationship come to the fore. And that's when you hear nothing but, you know, have you ever heard a cat when they're meow? Yeah, when they get to sounding like that, those are fighting words. And that's all I hear from spirit. That's all I hear about those people that stay into those relationships. Now, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist. I have extensive education on psychology. I was going to say psychiatry, psychology, but that doesn't make me a professional, as in psychologist or psychiatrist. Okay? But I can tell you that it doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense to stay in those dynamics simply because you want to retire with a lot of money. Start putting your money into an account. Start building your wealth elsewhere. Does that person that doesn't get along with you have to know everything you do? I don't think so. I personally do not think so. I mean, I was advised at the age of 30 to always have your own bank account as a female. So if a female can do it, why can't a man not pull out a little bit here and there to start building his wealth, so that when it does hang by that last thread, that relationship, you can get out. And you won't get out on your face or on your knees. You can just move into your next phase of life. And I'm stating that for both men and women. I'm not pro suffering. Abuse is abuse is abuse. If you're being abused physically, emotionally, or verbally, man or woman, that is not something that you deserve. Not unless you're doing something to instigate that's what somebody is doing right back to you. So again, after looking at all the pros and cons, because if you're the type of person like I am, I will sit literally with a pen and paper, pros, cons, Pros of why I stay, cons of the things that are deal breakers that are just not working anymore, and what to do about it. Is it time to call a lawyer? Is it time to get out? Is it time to go to marriage counseling, to couples counseling? Have we done all of the work? Have we tried to change? Or has the person stated time after time after time they're going to change, and then you don't even see that change? It lasts for 3 weeks or 3 months, and then they go back to the way they were before. Some people cannot change, folks. And some people need help in the change, folks, which is the professionals, if you can find one who is compatible with both your needs. But if it's getting to the point to where, God, I know a lot of you know that those spidey senses, those feelings you get when it's time to go. You start feeling that heavy discomfort when they're in the room, when they're in the house with you. You start feeling that dread come over you when they open the door, that little lock, that key is turning in the lock and they're coming on in. And you feel a dread come over you because you have to be on edge. You got to be ready. They're going to fire with both barrels and you don't know what they're going to say to you, but you already know that if you say anything that sounds just a little bit off-putting or just a little bit something like something they may not like, they may go for the jugular. And here we go with the little cat fight again. You can't even be comfortable in your own home. But every single thing they say in Spanish is called me choca. Me choca ya, me choca, me tiene harta, ya no quiero ni escucharlo. I'm already up to here. I don't even want to listen to that voice anymore. That voice sounds like a chalkboard and the nails going down the chalkboard, and you can't even stand that noise anymore. That's when you know it's time to go. There's no fixing it. Stop putting Bondo on it. Stop putting a wire hanger on the bottom of that muffler. And it's time to either get a new car or do something different. Start walking to work. Get a bike, get on your motorcycle, get on your moped. I don't know. But that car has seen better days. It's for the heap. And I'm telling you, it's easier said than done. I realize that because even in a bad relationship, we tend to stay longer than we should because it's familiar. And a lot of us are afraid of change. We're afraid of change. We're afraid of what if the next person hurts us more or hurts us just as much, or what if it fails? The next person, I get in a relationship with, I'm guarded. My heart, my walls are so high, and my heart, I got a cage and a lock around that thing. I'm not ever going to let anyone in again. That's your choice, but that's not called healing. So again, you have free will, my friends. However, there's got to be a time when you do all the pros and cons. And just because they're on your insurance plan or they're on your 401k or they're part of your dependents or you promise till death do you part, and they're putting you into that grave a lot faster than you imagined because of all the stress. Or you lose all your hair for us, those beautiful gentlemen out there. Lose all your hair because they give you more problems and headaches than they're worth. My mom, she would talk to her in-laws, right? Her son-in-laws and daughter-in-laws, and she would literally tell them, there's no deposit, no return. No deposit, no return. You didn't pay in on this, you don't get to return them. Well, I used to tell my children this. If they ever decide they don't want you anymore, and they decide that you're nothing, you're not important, and you are of no value to them, you're always welcome. You always have a room in the house, because you should never stay with someone because they cook for you, because they clean for you, because they do the laundry for you, because they iron your clothes, or because they had your children. That is not the reason to stay. You can always pay child support. You can always get a nanny. You can always put them in daycare. You can always learn to wash your clothes. There's YouTube for everything nowadays, isn't there? And I'd rather be Han Solo, don't mind me being coarse, than to have to deal with a bad relationship that makes me feel today like I'm just the best thing since sliced bread because I brought all the money home to them and put it in their little hand or credit card. I'd rather be Han Solo because at least I know who I'm dealing with, myself. And no, you don't have to be jaded. That's why there are professionals and clergy people, best friends that give you good advice and not that just don't like anybody for you, because hey, some best friends are like that. They're hoarders, they're cock blockers, so be careful with that. But you don't have to stay in a negative relationship, in a bad relationship, just because you promised them till death do you part, or you promised your family that you were going to get married and stay married. Your family is not there when you're the one in pain. Your family is not there to see that you have tears at night before you go to bed. You roll over and you wonder, how much more of this can I stand? And all my hair is gone, so there's nothing more that I can give this person because they make me want to tear my hair out, and instead it's falling out anyway. They give me a major pain, both in the butt and pain in the neck. So again, this is your life. So you get to decide how much you want to continue with this BS. But I will tell you that the longer you stay, the more that you put in your head, you're comfortable. At least you know the devil you know. Better the devil you know than the devil you don't, right? But at the same time, you don't have any quality of life. All you do is work. All you do is worry. And all you do is fight. But you're doing it with honor, huh? With honor, a badge of honor. You're staying because you're the, I guess you're the one that's supposed to suffer, huh? At least that's what the family says to you, the friends say to you, or the relatives. And some stay because they like to be told by friends or relatives, man, you're long suffering. I don't know how you do it, but wow, that you stayed, really? 20 years, 30 years, 40 years? How did you do it? Oh, I don't pay attention to them anymore. Isn't that horrible? Why don't you pay attention to them? Probably because, like I said, all you do is argue when you do pay attention to them. So again, guys, this has just been a little bit of, I guess you could say, a moment to let it seep all in. Take it all in. For those out there that are having bad relationships, the question you have to ask yourself is why? Are you a martyr? Do you have that martyr type of syndrome? Is that, the virtue signaling, like they said, early on this year, virtue signaling, but it's not really, you like to be looked at or talked about as having virtue, and that's why you stay? Or do you believe somehow that God wants you to suffer? Because God is not about suffering. Remember what they always say. That comes from the devil. That comes from Satan, from Lucifer. God is not about suffering. So stop and think on that. Anyway, this has been food for thought for those that are in bad relationships. Stop putting Bondo on that car. Stop using Bondo, Gorilla Glue, masking tape, duct tape, Elmer's glue, wire hangers. Stop it. Stop hurting yourself. Much love and light. Remember, you have to love yourself more than anybody else loves you, or you're going to not love yourself and end up trying to love everybody out there but you. You are your most important person, not out of ego, not out of being a narcissist, but because you can't truly love someone if you don't first love yourself. Love and light. Thank you for stopping by, and I hope this helps someone that had to hear all of this. And if it doesn't match with you, don't take it in. Take it with a grain of salt and carry on. If this sounds like somebody that you know that could use this information or this talk, then share away, because sharing is caring. Love and light to you guys. Bye.